Hey y'all, I figured you guys were sitting in here bullshitting, so I might as well come live already because, well, I'm ready and looks like you guys are too. Hey y'all, what y'all up to on this Thursday? I couldn't pass this one up. There's too much said in this one that just had my head spinning. So we're going to talk about Bullhorn Betty today and her political agenda and what she's doing with it because it needs to be discussed. So let me roll this beautiful intro here and then we'll get started. All right, let me do a quick hello because they were chatting it up before I came in here. Blonde One, thank you for becoming a member. Cash, Britt, Helen, Starry Night. You'll catch me on the replay. Oh, there's me. I popped in to tell them all to behave. They were just bullshitting. Chico, Fairy Meadows, Sharon, Dexter's here, of course. He's waiting for his treats to get up here. He's being a turd. Holy cow, he's being a turd. Hey, Miss Leah, Becca, Alice, Marcy. Let's be honest, Tessa, Stitchy with the Sisterly, SoFlo Mama, Happy Life, Becca. Okay, hold on, let me get rid of him. Can one of you grab him treats, please? ASAP. Colin. Here he comes. Okay. They'll be back in a minute. Hey, Andy. Hey, Nisi. Okay, we're going to get into this. So this is what caught my attention first. Right here. So this was her picture she posted this morning. Well, I'm not going to screw around. We're just going to talk about all the points that need to be addressed here. So in this photo, you'll see she's wearing a Turning Point lanyard. For those of you that don't know what Turning Point is, you're about to learn.
We're going to catch roots and catch a free piano.
Oh, isn't there a purple bag in there? Okay,
It's
just
like empty.
order them and use. I'll tell you which one to use. Hold on, guys. Sorry, kitties need treats. Okay. She's wearing her Turning Point lanyard. Turning Point is an organization local to me, ran by Charlie Kirk. For those of you that don't know who Charlie Kirk is, let me give you a quick rundown. He's probably one of, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, one of the most wealthy grifters off the Trump campaign since 2016. They target the youth, college campuses. He has made lots of money, and so have his friends. But he also has a thing with influencers. So Charlie Kirk, this is him on the screen. Money and Misinformation, How Turning Point USA Became a Formidable Pro-Trump Force. The right-wing group outgrew its origins on campuses to hobnob with Republican operatives and donors despite some discomfort in the party. The powerful conservative youth group Turning Point USA, which has forged strong ties to Donald Trump and his son Don Jr., has raised tens of millions of dollars from super rich donors and secret backers while pushing disinformation about Joe Biden's win in 2020, COVID-19 vaccines, and other extremist and right-wing issues. like we see Betty talk about. The group is campaigning on college campuses across the US, as well as expanding into rightist media and faith activities. And through its campaign arm, it's getting directly involved with elections, where it often supports pro-Trump and conservative candidates. Shocking not. The emerging strength and roles of TPUSA in the conservative ecosystem and the rising visibility of its ambitions and hard-driving Charlie Kirk has sparked weathering criticism from medical experts and ethics watchdogs, as well as some Republican Party operatives. He pushes off so much misinformation, it's unheard of. Well, actually, it's about the same level as Betty. These two are the duo, the embarrassing duo of MAGA. Founded in 2020 by then 18-year-old Charlie Kirk and headquartered in Arizona, where it has built a robust base now backing Trump-endorsed candidates like former Fox News star running for governor. Turning Point USA's revenues have soared from $4.3 million in 2016 to almost $39.8 million in 2020, according to public tax filings. You tell me, is that a little bit of money increase? Follow the money, people. TPUSA boosts its allies on more than 2,500 high school and college campuses and is the largest and fastest growing youth organization in America. The group, which has nonprofit charity status that bars political work, also has a political arm called Turning Point Action that can do election work. You know, 501c3s have a clause in them that they're not supposed to engage with political activities, lobbyists, campaigns, anything of that nature. For those of you that don't know, go check it out. It's true. The two groups, fatal to Trump, has generated mounting criticism and alarm. Kirk and his outfits have been vocal opponents. Kirk and his outfits, have been vocal exponents of baseless claims of election fraud, promoting the 6th of January rally. The insurrection that featured Trump's call to fight like hell before the Capitol attack and running Facebook ads with blatant falsehoods about COVID-19 vaccinations. Several of the right's top financial donors have poured millions of dollars into TPUSA coffers, including Foster Fries, the late multimillionaire whom Kirk has credited with helping to launch his operations, and the powerful Bradley Foundation. Donors Trust, a major dark money operation used by big donors to keep their names secret, plowed $906,000 into TPUSA in 2019, according to public records. The stunning growth of TPUSA owes a big debt to several fundraising events and meetings with Trump connections, say some Republican consultants. TPUSA held a lavish fundraising gala at Mar-a-Lago in December 2019 that drew Donald Trump Jr. and Republican political bigwigs. And Kirk's cachet was palpable at the 2020 Republican convention, where he gushed that Trump was the bodyguard of Western civilization. Yeah. Kirk and TPUSA owe their success largely to Don Jr. and Kimberly G., his girlfriend and leading Republican fundraiser, said a veteran party operative. I would often see Kirk and Don Jr. hanging out at the Trump Hotel restaurant in D.C., he added, where big donors and lobbyists. Oh, imagine that. Let's not butcher this word, Becky. I said it earlier 4 times, and now it just blatantly ran from my mind.
Ubiquitous.
See, I pronounced it earlier, and then I was just wanting to say ubiquitous all the time. TPUSA and Kirk have capitalized on their MAGA ties to expand way beyond their campus roots, where they initially carved out a niche on the right by attacking left-leaning faculty who they placed on a watch list and used campus events to push right-wing agendas. But Kirk and TPUSA have found other avenues to grow. Salem Radio Network, a Christian right operation, now features the Charlie Kirk Show daily. If you haven't listened to it, it's quite a joy. And TPUSA this year launched Turning Point Faith to promote a culture war agenda and gain more supporters in conservative religious circles. So I think if you're listening to this, what you're hearing is the same talking points that Betty's been pushing. Youth, religion, school systems, grifting off of Trump, and crazy extremist beliefs. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. Kirk is now a member of the influential and secretive Council for National Policy, where conservative political and religious leaders can mingle with and hit up big donors at quarterly meetings. The group's close ties to Trump generated more criticism in the run-up to the 2020 election and afterwards, when Kirk promoted false claims that Trump's loss was due to fraud. How did that work out? Turning Point Action worked with about a dozen other groups to support Trump's January 6th March to Save America, insurrection, by bringing busloads of Trump allies to D.C. for the rally that preceded the Capitol attack. Before the rally, Kirk boasted in a tweet that Turning Point Action and an allied group, Trump students, that Kirk also chaired, would bring 80-plus busloads of patriots to D.C. to fight for the president. Kids, okay? Kirk predicted that the event would likely be one of the largest and most consequential in American history. Kirk's tweet was quickly removed after the assault on the Capitol. I wonder why. Further, Kirk served before January 6th as an Arizona point person for the Stop the Steal, the group led by Ali Alexander, which has been subpoenaed for documents and testimony by the House Secret Committee investigating the Capitol insurrection and Trump's efforts to overturn the election results. On November 6th, Kirk helped lead a Stop the Steal rally in Phoenix. That was one of numerous such events hosted by Trump allies that day, protesting Biden's win and spreading falsehoods about fraud, as the Center for Media and Democracy first reported. On another disinformation front, Kirk's groups have been busy this year promoting falsehoods on campuses and in social media about vaccine mandates, efforts that the groups have used to raise funds and which have sparked criticism from health experts. Kirk wrote false text messages charging that Biden had sent goons door to door to make you take a COVID-19 vaccine, as the Washington Post first reported. That never happened. Further, a Kirk nonprofit ran alarmist and erroneous Facebook ads, which were seen millions of times, stating that the government has no right to force you to inject yourself with an experimental vaccine, and warning that in response to advice about shots, lock your doors, kids. Not to go back to that right side of things, I think we've kind of came through it mostly, but your body, your choice. If you didn't want to take it, don't take it. Okay, simple as that. You have the consequences if you don't take it. That's what it is. Fortunately, that's where it was. Doctors warn, however, that Kirk's fear-mongering about vaccines could jeopardize efforts to encourage more young people to get vaccinated, a message that some Republican leaders, including Trump, have to varying degrees also endorsed. In July, on the Tucker Carlson show, imagine that, on Fox News, Kirk dismissed such Republican efforts to spur more vaccines as virtual signaling. A Kirk spokesperson has portrayed the group's actions as pro-freedom and not anti-vax. Time out. Pro-freedom and not anti-vax. Meanwhile, telling women what you can and can't have done with your body. Think about that for a moment. Pro-freedom. Okay. You get the picture. And if you don't, well, you might belong there. But medical experts say this is a dangerous dodge. Despite Kirk's patently misleading assertions that he is simply an honest broker of personal freedom, he is also an unabashed let's just have this speak for us for a second. Promulgator of egregiously false information about the dangers of vaccines. He probably knows better, but actively chooses to misinform, said Erwin Redlinier, who leads Columbia University's Pandemic and eSource and Recovery Initiative, in an interview with The Guardian. In Arizona, Kirk's groups have recently been busy flexing their muscles to help Trump-backed candidates for governor and secretary of state, both of whom have been promoters of Trump's oft disproven claims that he lost the state due to fraud, according to Arizona GOP sources and reports. Anyways, if you want to read the rest of it, you can read this whole thing, but you get where I'm going with this. She has been pushing this crazy rhetoric for quite some time. Nothing new, nothing at all. So she sports the lanyard by Turning Point, And then she's going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, and we're going to listen to some of these talking points that she likes to point out. And for those of you that don't like this conversation, that it's a little too political for you, there's tissues. Grab them, because this one might hurt your feelings. Because if you guys want to continue to skirt around the real issues, we'll just hit them head on.
Stealer sunshine away from her. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Kimmy is up in the house. Love, not war. It'd be nice, but you got idiots that are all.
Oh, and she, love not war, but you got idiots. She's so happy. By the way, Betty, this is all under fair use. This is commentary. This is my opinion based on the bullshit that comes out of your mouth. This is my opinion based on your misinformation that you are spreading, backed by articles and what is actually happening in the country. The things like having children in public schools. Oh, wait, that I have that. You don't. But we don't want to talk about that, right?
All over the YouTube, people that have this obsessive compulsive disorder where they just can't stop. It's funny. It's delusional. It's problematic. But, oh, well. We have babies on here, adolescents on here, and adults on here. And sometimes we get a mix in this chat. This chat is for 18 years old or up. And at least we're talking about some other stuff. We have a kids club, right? Sonia's got this kids club that she's been, coordinating. And it's just support for our children. So it's always nice. So
support for our children. She's going to show you how much support for our children she really has here.
As you know, we were coming in here. And of course, I have
she's going to hobnob on about true crime a little bit in the mix of all this BS. So we kind of got to weed through it. But there's some points that we're going to make sure we hit and hear her say out of her mouth.
Intros was of Rachel Morin. Rachel Morin, obviously a mom of 5. They finally released the sketch of the person that they think is maybe responsible for this. Chief sure been in the news a lot lately. The face paint child, unalive, now this. What's up with that? You know what? That is a very good question.
Oh. Let's talk about this. So let's talk about how the extremist group before the Super Bowl came out had this whole plot that this was all concocted, that the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. It was because then Taylor Swift could be on the front of all of these shows because she was going to be pushing everybody to vote for Biden with her superpowers, eye control, mind control, because she's a witchy woman, all the theories that went along with that. So after that didn't come true and she didn't give no Biden cheer, even though Donald Trump, the very day of the Super Bowl, tried to take credit for Taylor Swift's career. Yeah, that happened. But they have been pushing this propaganda now that they don't have that to go on because the things that they claimed never happened that were going to happen, like Taylor wasn't going to mind control all of the millions of people watching the Super Bowl and have you walking around like zombies going, Biden. That's what they were afraid of, because she has that much control over everybody. Anyways, so they've kind of curtailed off that. They don't really want to talk about that agenda that they've been pushing, that was pushed at the rally she was so fond of being at.
Cordy, that is a very, very good question. I'm not sure. Good morning, Candy Apple. It's nice to see you. I'm not sure what is going on. This is what I have to say about all of this.
Let's hear what you have to say, because it's probably going to be factually wrong. It'll more than likely be incorrect. We are 45 days into 2024. How many mass shootings do you think we've had in the United States? Any guesses in the comment section? Because we're going to go there.
We're now taking the focus off of the gun argument, right? It's now flip-flopping because it's now really, we need to have a mental health awareness.
What? It's off the gun and now it's about mental health. The mental health discussion has been going for a long time, Betty. Did you just wake up all of a sudden? And the reform of gun control has been a conversation for a long time. That's the problem, is nobody has the exact answer. But instead of just talking about it and skirting around the points, we just keep having more and more tragedies.
Because this is what it really is. It has nothing to do with the guns and stuff like that. But I know you're talking about several different things. But mental health, why are we having an explosion of mental health in our country? There's a lot of reasons that are contributing to this. It's not one
In my opinion, MAGA is one of them, but continue on.
defined reason or another. There's multiple reasons. From kids not getting out and being children anymore, being cooped up in the house, being on the computer all the time, playing those violent video games.
Violent video games. Okay. So the destruction of our youth is kids cooped up playing violent video games. Huh. So far, okay.
To our society, teaching them they have to worry about everybody else's feelings instead of taking care of themselves, walking on eggshells, putting them in constant anxiety everywhere they go.
Oh,
Not teaching.
Oh, but wait a second. People like you who are not even aren't parents have a fucking fit if a child expresses themselves in a way that is not okay with your views. You know, LGBTQ, all of that stuff that your party, you don't want to talk about your political views, but your political views play huge into what you spread as rhetoric. And you don't want those kids to be concerned about what other people think about them, but yet you judge the fuck out of them. Aren't you the very one that said some kids need to be eradicated? I'm almost positive of that.
Our children how to deal with rejection. What we find out more times than not in any of these is somebody got their feelings hurt and decided to take it out on a bunch of innocent people instead of the people that actually caused the problem to begin with. That is typically how these things end up going. Now, there are some things here, you know, as of last night when they were breaking off. And again, I go to bed very, very early because I'm up at 3 a.m., which many people don't get up that early.
And nobody gives a shit about your alarm clock, Betty.
So as I was reading some of the stuff last night,
Fox News, 4chan boards,
a lot of people were saying they didn't know if it was directly related to this parade, if it was a hate crime. I've got everything pulled up. We're going to be going through it and we're going to be discussing it. Everybody knows that this did obviously happen yesterday for the idiots in the back of this, you know, and sitting in the woods and just come here to poke a little, you know, fuel to the fire for no reason because you're a fucking idiot. Those people that are all the way in the back, yes, I think the world knows that this happened yesterday. I think they got this because the people in my chat that consistently are here, I can guarantee are a lot smarter than the likes of you. Okay. So if you don't like your feelings being hurt or you think I'm rude for some reason.
Oh, wait, but she's just the one that said everybody's too sensitive, basically. Huh.
Maybe you should change your attitude when you come in here because I'm not.
It's always a you thing. It's never a her thing. It's always a you.
A PC person.
We know that. We fucking know that. Politically correct, you are not. I am glad that you made that statement.
And I have no problem telling you where to go and how to get there. And you know what? I used to even offer a ride. I'm not even doing that shit no more. Just saying.
Billy Badass at its finest.
Just saying.
Talk tough. Meanwhile, she's supposed to be talking about the mass shooting that happened at the Kansas City Chiefs parade. You know, we're just 15 minutes in and she's just on this tirade so far.
Has left one person dead and nearly 24 people with gunshot wounds.
The rapid gunfire sent thousands of panicked fans running for their lives. In an instant, the sound of joyous cheers and joyful chants were replaced with the sound
we're going to go back. Let's go back and watch that. You can just see this whole entire place just erupt.
No shit, Sherlock. You don't even need a magnifying glass or a camera lens to hold up to see it. No shit. This isn't rocket science. Unfortunately, this was another major tragedy. We've had one after another after another.
This is, you know, in this day and age, it's hard. You have two different arguments here.
Oh,
you know, pro-gun, against gun. You guys know my stance.
No, there's not two different arguments. There's actually some middle ground too. There is people that believe that you should have a right to safe gun ownership with common sense laws. And then there's people who are pro-gun who throw every stance out the window. They don't care about the safety of anybody else, or kids getting their hand on guns, or safety locks on guns, or registered gun owners, or red flag laws. You know, there's that. And then there's the people who believe that they should be completely taken out. But there is a lot more middle ground of people who want common sense gun laws and gun reform than Betty is trying to make it sound. And a lot of the extreme believing don't want common sense gun reform. Why is that? Because they're afraid that it's going to infringe on their rights. How many of those people use those weapons on a daily basis to begin with?
I'm not a bashful person, okay? I'm just not a bashful person. Okay, I tell you how I feel when I feel it. Blah 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 blah. It's just what I do, right? I don't know, in situations like this, to bring a gun or not to bring a gun.
This is the argument that she wants to have. Instead of talking about actual gun laws, actual policy around guns, that America is the biggest supplier, American gun manufacturers are the biggest suppliers to the cartel. Instead of talking about that, she wants to talk about whether to bring a gun or not bring a gun. Bring a gun, not bring a gun. That's her concern. Let me switch over here before we listen anymore, because some of you need to be educated a little bit. I can see it. Almost 5,000 people have died in the U.S. gun violence so far in 2024. This article just came out today. 5,000 people have died in the U.S. of gun violence so far in 2024. Let's go through this for a second. On February 14th, a mass shooting following a parade and rally for the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl win has left one person dead and at least 21 others injured, according to officials. The shooting has reignited discussions about the prevalence of gun violence in America. As of February 15th, at least 4,994 people have died from gun violence in the U.S. this year, according to the Gun Violence Archive, which is an average about 108 deaths per day. Another 3,351 people have been injured. Of those who have died from gun violence, 147 were teens, 31 were children. Last year, gun violence, death, and injuries decreased by at least 8% compared to 2022, with some cities seeing decreases in more than 20%, according to GVA. There were 43,065 gun deaths in 2023, with more than 36,000 people injured. Gun deaths, excluding suicides, in 2023 were the lowest they had been since 2020. Injuries were the lowest they had been since 2019. There's their tracker. 2020, we kind of saw the peak. 2021, we saw it a little bit more, which unfortunately wasn't shocking. The pandemic did cause a lot of distress for a lot of people. Again, going back to the need for the mental health conversation that she continues to just minimize. Mass shooting. There have been more than 49 mass shootings in 2024 so far, which is defined by the Gun Violence Archive as an incident in which 4 or more victims are shot or killed. 49 in 2024. We're not even 49 days into the new year. These mass shootings have led to more than 80 deaths and more than 170 injuries. The January 23rd string of shootings in Joliet, Illinois, by a single suspect marks the deadliest incident of the year. 8 people were killed and 9 shot in Joliet, Illinois. Authorities are referring to as the 23-year-old deceased suspect, Romeo Nance's reign of terror. That was a horrifying situation. He was found dead in Texas. Mass shootings in the U.S. have been more than doubled in the last decade. In 2014, there were 272 mass shootings. In 2023, there were 656. Mass shootings peaked at 689 in 2021, according to GVA. Deaths by suicide, trigger warning, have made up the vast majority of gun violence deaths so far this year. There's been 3,036 deaths by gun suicide this year, an average about 66 deaths by suicide per day. I want you to take that number into heart right there. 66 suicide by gun a day. Though GVA has not released suicide data for 2023, deaths by suicide have been on the rise throughout the decade. The grim tally of gun violence deaths includes 174 people killed in police officer-involved shootings. 7 police officers have been fatally shot in the line of duty this year. There's also been 181 unintentional shootings. The Gun Violence Archive shows unintentional shootings reached the lowest they have been in a decade. So instead of having the conversation that needs to be had, instead of talking about, common sense gun reform, letting people have their right to bear arms, finding middle ground, figuring out what we're going to do about the mental health crisis, because we obviously do not have enough clinicians, especially when you have fucking Texas with Senate Bill 763, who is trying to replace counselors out of school. It's probably because Texas doesn't pay their teachers worth shit. So I can only imagine that their counselors are probably paid shit. And they even want to go lower than that and replace them with fucking chaplains who are not even remotely qualified. But this is where we're headed. 66 people a day are taking their lives with a firearm. Our mental health conversation needs to happen. I don't know who you are, what you believe in, don't care. But people need to wake up and realize that these aren't talking points. These are things that need to be discussed. She skirts around the issues that are major issues. Major issues. 49 mass shootings so far in 45 days in the United States. But her fucking worry is to carry a gun or to not carry a gun. Anyways, let's go back to her spewing more bullshit because it's even going to get better.
You gotta weigh the choices upon yourself, right? The problem here is I can guarantee there's probably alcohol here, right? People are probably drinking. People are probably getting out of control. If you are a person that consumes alcohol, the answer would be you do not bring a gun to a situation.
No shit, Sherlock, it's illegal.
Or a place like this. If you are well trained and you're going to a big event like this and they allow you to bring your guns, or they don't check you, or concealed weapon are allowed, then yes.
If they don't check you.
Yes. That is up to you to bring a gun, because in a situation like this, I would want to be packing.
Oh, yeah, you'd be the first person I'd want to have a gun on you.
I never want.
You saw her reaction to thinking she got bit by a snake. That's the first person I would want to have next to me with a gun. Not. And by the way, for those of you in the back that continue to say I'm so fucking woke, I've probably shot more guns than most of you fucks. So sit the fuck down. Sit down, like Laura says. I grew up hunting. I grew up in Montana and North Dakota, where it was a way of life. I got my first scar from pumping a BB gun, jumping on a trampoline. I was born and raised around it all. My entire family. I've shot major, huge guns my entire life. Again, this is not the point. Betty and her ignorance is the point. Most of us that talk about this don't see a simple solution of just wiping them all off, because that's not going to solve anything either.
I want to be a defenseless sitting duck. I'm sorry. You have your opinion of me or not. But one thing you will know about me is I protect myself at all costs. Okay. When it comes to my life or somebody else's life, it's going to be my life. If I have to make that decision, I choose me.
That's not shocking, Betty.
I just want to be very clear on that.
If it's a child or some teenagers, she's picking her. I mean, come on now. She's already told you that's who she is.
And people want to call me selfish. I'm the most selfish person I know, because I care about myself.
We know.
I take care of myself, and then I help other people. And that's kind of the way I feel it should be.
Mm.
I'm not going to help other people and be floundering over here. You got to protect yourself.
I'm glad she's saying it all with her whole chest. She ain't helping you until she helps herself. I mean, that's very evident in how she moves. Very evident.
In this situation,
if there's no benefit for Betty, she ain't involved. You can guarantee that.
To bring a gun or not to bring a gun, I would have to say it depends on the rules. How did this all happen? What's going on?
Thank God there's investigators that will figure that out and not this rocket scientist.
Would cause one person to be dead and 22 wounded at such a happy event, right? They just won the Super Bowl. We can't even celebrate in our own states of winning something like a Super Bowl and having a parade this day and age. We've declined that much. You know what? If we would have been talking about mental health issues, in my opinion, instead of somehow this inanimate object being able to walk, talk, and
inanimate object, again, trying to remove the actual weapon and downplay its involvement in situations like this. Your thoughts and prayers aren't fucking working anymore, are they, Betty? Your thoughts and prayers on the last mass shooting sure as fuck didn't fix anything, right? And that was just a couple days ago when it was at Joel Osteen's church, right? But that wasn't classified as a mass shooting because there wasn't 4 injured. Think about that for a second.
Shoot itself, for the last few decades, maybe these types of events wouldn't be going on right now if we were actually able to sit down and have a legitimate discussion about the true core facts of what keeps causing this. And for those that honestly believe that it's the gun, that the gun has legs, it can walk, it can talk, it can make a decision to pull its own trigger, until we can get off that BS and start talking about what's making it be put into a person's hand to fire at innocent people. It is that person. What is going on with that person when we start peeling off?
But yet when they introduce red flag laws, they're not enacted. Yellow flag laws, they're not enacted. They're not used when they are put into place. When is enough going to be enough? We saw that in New Mexico, where they completely ignored the red flag laws that they had. And an elderly lady on hospice lost her life when officers were there in the home, knew he had weapons, showed him that he had loaded weapons, had threatened to kill her previously, and continued on. You're missing the point, Betty. And again, you're trying to say these talking points of let's have the mental health conversation. But as soon as anybody brings it up, you are so quick to shut them down and spew this rhetoric that is nonsensical bullshit.
All the layers away, time and time and time and time again. It's a person that has mental health issues.
And
so, why have we not been talking about that?
We've been trying to. Most of us have been trying to. And by the way, we don't want you to have a seat at the table of any realistic discussions. You're not welcome. Stay over there with your extremist propaganda. That's about the only thing you actually can spew.
Little food for thought.
Little food for thought.
Again, some people agree with me. Some people don't agree with me. You're allowed to have your own opinion.
No shit.
But you're not allowed to change mine or take mine, just like I'm not allowed to change yours or take yours. If you don't like my opinions, you don't like who I am, you don't value my morals.
I just find it fucking funny that somebody with such amazing morals has how many DV charges? Now, I did say charges, not convictions, because there is a difference. But how many, Betty? I'm sure for a long time you never wanted to have the mental health discussion, right? But now you seem to sit on a pedestal. Guess what I don't have in my background? DV charges. Guess what I do have? A bankruptcy, that's it. Nonviolent criminal over here. Crazy how that manifests that she's the one that wants to talk about all these talking points.
Maybe this isn't the channel for you. Trust me, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I promise you.
Trust me, it's definitely not the channel for me either, but some of this shit I can't pass up.
screams and sirens. Tragically, at least 8 young children, excited fans of the Chiefs, were among those wounded.
We have team coverage
Now
of this
that
deadly
is a
shooting.
problem
Chris
for
Wolf
me.
gathering.
That is absolutely a problem for me. I and this is why I am a concealed weapons owner, right? I own a gun. I went through the process to have my concealed weapons license.
And exactly some of the problem with our current gun laws. Truthfully, not trying to cut on her, but truthfully, there should be a safety concern with her being able to get a concealed permit, in my opinion.
Here in the state of Florida, and I maintain it, even though now you're not required to have that certification.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to maintain mine because we never know when laws are going to change, and I don't feel like going through the process again.
Because they're pushing to be able to have the mental health records and actually be able to investigate the people a little bit further. That's not happening in most places.
I keep that maintained every year. It helps my state of Florida with the fees and some other activities that they can pay for the fees. Good Lord knows what silo they put those funds in and what they really use it for.
Oh.
I'm sure it's going to be in somebody's bank account before long, so I'm not too worried about it. But I maintain it for a lot of purposes, and it doubles as an additional identification card.
Can you get one in other states besides Florida, Betty? Just a question. Can you get a multi-state permit? I'm curious what your answer would be to that.
As well. Many people don't know that. It has your picture on it. It is legit from the state. So if you accidentally misplace your driver's license, your concealed weapons permit card can be used as a legit government ID. So but it's this whole thing with the children. Listen, you want to be an a-hole? You want to just shoot innocent people and do this? If this is what makes you feel well and feel good, I mean, obviously we can't stop them, otherwise this wouldn't have happened. But leave the damn children alone. What the hell did they do? I don't get why the children are always seems to be they get the brunt of everything. They get the brunt of everything. Mental illness, they get the brunt of. Mommy and daddy on drugs, they get the brunt of. House abuse, they get the brunt of. I'm so sick of seeing our little children being abused by all these damn adults throughout our country. It's disgusting. It makes me angry. This shit here makes me angry. It should make everybody angry. But let's not confuse what the real issues are.
Tell us. Tell us.
Reaction for us tonight. But first,
wait, aren't you going to tell us what the issues are? You went on that tangent and you're not even going to tell us what the issues are?
Here's what we know about today's attack. It was nearing the end of the Chiefs' victory parade. Hundreds of thousands had gathered in downtown Kansas City to cheer on the team.
At the end of it, let's talk about it.
Can you shut up and let the damn news article play, Betty? I, for one, am sick of you already.
At the end of any parade, closer to the end of any parade is what? Probably the largest amount of people, too, right? Because it's not at the beginning of the parade, people are probably still getting there. People are running late. You have your procrastinators.
I swear to God, this is like a Mensa interview if I've ever heard one. The amount of intellectual conversation that is happening here is astounding to me. Like, I'm so uncomfortable reviewing her because I'm so beneath her educational wise. She is the cream at the top.
That's right. So it's like when you right around the middle to the end, you have this influx of people that just come to at least be part of it. Or
I think most people understand a parade. Land the fucking plane. Get to the point, Betty.
We're coming from out,
or just say some more horrific shit like we know you're going to.
Out of town, and the traffic was, I can't even imagine how ungodly this traffic is. So if you have you're coming from out of town and there's a wreck on the road, which with this massive amount of people, there's going to be a wreck here, there, and everywhere, right? People don't know how to drive. They don't know how to drive in congested areas. It's It's prime for accidents.
Does she have anything positive to say about anything? It is the most negative bullshit I've ever heard. People can't do this. People can't walk. People don't know how to parade. People don't know how to have legal gun ownership. People can't do anything. According to Betty, you can't do shit. We are all so beneath her. Don't let yourself forget.
So you really, it's like kind of, I think like the middle, you know, tailing toward the end would be the time that the absolute most amount of people would be there, because all the late people are already there. And all the early risers are starting to say, you know, I've been here for a while. Let's say, you know, I'm tired of looking at all this stuff. Let's beat the traffic, right? You got the ones that arrive first are the ones that are pushing through the crowd to get out first, right? Because they've been there the longest and they want to beat the crowd.
Oh, shut up.
Because they beat the crowd coming in, now they're beating the crowd going out. So you get all that movement and everything kind of going on at the tail end of any type of parade. I mean, just think about any parade that you've had in your community. Think about, you know, how many people were there right when it started versus how many were there at closer to the end. So you know, again, what does that say? I don't know.
When suddenly,
that's no
phones
accident.
capture the gunshots.
That's no accident. That is no accident. That boom, 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 boom. That's no accident. Let's listen to that again.
No shit, it's called gunfire.
That doesn't sound like any accident.
No shit, Sherlock. Definitely not an accident.
That was intentional. That wasn't from anything.
Phones capture the gunshots in the crowd just outside of Union Station.
And we just heard this big loud bang, and everyone was just told to get down on the ground and get close. So I grabbed my son and we got close to the fence.
Police swarmed the area near the old train station, taking 2 men into custody, while this video shows spectators tackling a third man as he tries to get away through the crowd. Paul Contreras was one of those good.
I just want to say to, you know, in situations like this, I always tell everybody to be safe, get yourself safe in a safe situation, and do not take the law in your own hands. In a situation like this, I have a much different stance, okay? Because you're sitting ducks. You're sitting ducks. And
I thought you were going to take care of yourself before everybody else. Now you have so many different stances. Pick a fucking lane, Betty. Pick a lane.
And it's a chaotic scene. You got to act. You got to act. People act and they end up, you know, having a heavy burden for acting. I'm happy to see that this wasn't the case here. I'm not going to condemn this person's actions because, in all fairness, in a situation like this, it takes people's bravery to put an end to some of these things. And
You know you ain't got the cojones to do it. Just say that. Just stick to that. I'm a mouthy bitch, but I'm weak spine. Okay, stick to that lane, Betty. That's where you belong.
it's unfortunate that we live in a country where sometimes that bravery costs us our lives, especially on our own soil. Like, we literally travel to all these other countries when there's wars. Do you know
Where the fuck have you been? Where have you ever been? Have you ever left the United States? I'm just curious.
why the United States does that? I don't know if they teach this in school anymore. I really don't, because I think our school system is shit. If you really want to know my truth. Because when I was growing up, we were taught how to survive this life.
Oh, we were taught how to survive this life. Okay, let's listen to Betty's lesson of the day.
We were taught how to drive. We were taught how to balance our checkbook. We were taught how to sew. We were taught how to cook. We were taught all the basic necessities.
Guess what, Betty? My kids are learning how to sew. They have home ec classes. All the same fucking things. All the same things in current time, 2024. That's what they're learning in public school. Shocker, you don't have children in school. You probably wouldn't know that though, right?
To take care of ourselves in school. All of that has been stripped away.
Oh,
But for some reason, this topic of sex education seems to be more important.
where? Play the clip. Roll the clip. By the way, if a teacher is talking to your minor child about sex, that's a predator, not a teacher. They do not represent teachers. Teachers dedicate their lives to protecting and serving our families. Teachers are incredible. And I find that highly offensive for all the teachers that sit in our comment section, because they sure as hell and would not deal with their colleagues talking to minor children, especially 5-year-olds, about sex. That's not fucking happening. That's called a predator if they're doing that. Oh, but Betty, do you want to talk about the 33 states that still allow clergy members penitent privilege? You want to throw that in there? We could have that conversation rolled right in here too if you want to talk about predators.
You know, a 5-year-old learning how to give oral sex in some of our schools or teaching them about how it feels. Yes.
A 5-year-old learning how to give oral sex. A 5-year-old. Where is this happening? Where is the evidence of this happening? Show some fucking proof. Again, this goes back to the talking points of Charlie Kirk and other extremist propaganda pushing political allies like she is. This is the exact same bullshit that they have been pushing time and time again. We've seen it multiple times in my comment section. They come in here spewing the most ignorant bullshit. Now I'm wondering if that wasn't her under a fucking alt that came in here talking about the kindergartners and bullshit. That is not happening. To even think that it would remotely be happening, you should be going to your school board. If your child is being approached by an adult of any capacity and being taught that at 5 years old, that's called a predator. That is not in any capacity representative of teachers. Where the fuck is the proof, Betty? An actual proof.
These are in some of our books. Many parents don't want to believe it, but yes, they are.
Oh, that's right. Burn all the books, right? Have a chaplain come in and decide what books are appropriate for our children to be reading. You know, back to that whole thing of how people are so offended so easily and kids shouldn't have to worry about offending people, but yet she's so fucking offended by kids exploring who they might want to be, what they might feel inside, you know, being a normal, curious child.
And they're in some of these libraries that these little kids get to go and pull books up from. But they have changed their way of thinking from them giving us cooking classes and teaching us how to make food and nutrients for ourselves.
That's a crock of bullshit. My kids are in cooking classes right now, home ec classes. The one's learning how to needlepoint. The other one is learning how to cook. That was their electives. They elected them because they were excited about them. That is still an offered course in so many of the public schools and private schools. This is complete bullshit propaganda again.
To teaching sexual education. I don't understand this.
For most kids, sex ed or the conversation about your body and maturity, such as periods, things of that nature, isn't happening until they're at least teenage, middle school. That's usually when it happens, 6th to 7th, 8th grade. Sometimes 5th, that will start the introduction for females about a women's cycle because some kids are having it way younger. But it's not to groom our children. It's to help prepare them for the changes that their body are naturally going to go through.
People are saying, no, it's not like that. Okay. Well, I can tell you, if it's not like that, it's because of a lot of parents speaking up and going into their school boards. Because it definitely was going that way.
5th grade for your puberty? Yeah, that doesn't shock me. But it's not sex education. That's not happening.
This is the problem. This is why I feel that kids are not learning. You know, we also learned how to deal with rejection. You know what my teachers taught me in school? I don't know, because I think there's a lot of people from my era.
We obviously know you don't know what your teachers taught you because it's on blaring display that you didn't learn shit besides how to be a mouthy bitch that spews random misinformation and throws it wherever you want.
And tell me if I'm lying.
Don't worry. You have been lying about a lot.
Telling me, and this had nothing to do with Southern schools, Northern schools, Western schools, Eastern schools. It had nothing to do. We were all bred by the same cloth. But we were told in school, you better be lucky, because in the real world, you don't get to call in to work sick. Remember that?
Who still tells their kids, you have it so easy, enjoy your childhood before adulthood? That's still a conversation in my house. Adulting sucks. I think most of us can admit to that. Okay, and?
In the real world, you do this nonsense, you're going to be fired from a job. You better start pulling.
Wait a moment. The jobless goon herself is talking about people not. I better leave this one alone, because I'm jobless too.
Yourself up by your bootstraps. You need to get it together because while you're in school, you got it easy. The real world is much harder.
No
We were
shit.
taught that. We were taught.
No shit. I bet you were taught that by your parents, though. Why do you expect the school to raise your non-existent kids, Betty? Why do you expect teachers to be raising your children? Oh wait, the non-existent children. Why is it all teachers' faults? Why aren't parents taking accountability for their actions and how children are turning? I don't fucking get this, bitch. That's it.
How to deal with rejection. We were taught how to be fired from work and not go and try to kill everybody at our job. These are emotional issues that they're not preparing our children for in school. Hey,
they're supposed to in school. It's the school's responsibility. No, it takes a lot more than this school. It takes a whole team of people. Educators are a huge part of that team. And for a parent with actual, real life children that have mental health issues, I'm so fortunate for teachers and educators, and especially special ed educators who understand the needs of kids. Thank God we don't have no fucking chaplain in here trying to tell my kid and pray them out of suicidal ideation, like is happening in Texas. If you haven't seen, that's what Senate Bill 763 is basically attempting to do.
I'm pretty sure 95% of our children know how to give a blowjob, courtesy of our school.
No. That's called electronics, TV, what they see at home. You would be amazed if you ever stepped into the role of what an educator is educated about by their students, what they're learning at home, what they've learned on TV and electronics. That is where that starts. Educators get educated by their kids. For my educators, tell me I'm wrong, because you guys sure as hell learn a lot.
Just saying.
God.
Thank you, Jen, and God bless you. I'm going off my rant, my tyrant, my soapbox.
Good Samaritans.
I heard somebody yelling to stop this guy, tackle him. He got close to me. I got the right angle on him, and I hit him from behind. And when I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve.
Sadly, one person was killed during the shooting. She's been identified as Lisa
Revival gets the gold star of today. I guarantee you that's truth. I was going to say something. I better hit play.
Lopez Galvan, a mother of two. Her son was also hurt, but is okay. Two of her nieces are still hospitalized. And they are.
I don't think the statistics are absolutely. I pulled this, I was being facetious and expressive. So as far as 95%, maybe not take that percentage. I was embellishing, and I will acknowledge that the embellishment was to make it impactful.
Oh, wait. You were embellishing things to make it impactful, meaning passing off misinformation to make it impactful. Oh, you wouldn't do such a fucking thing, would you now, Betty?
So I did not look into it, to be honest with you.
No shit, we can tell.
St. Rocketel, but you know that. I didn't look into that. So let's get back to this. Oops. Video.
Love how she passes that off. Love that for you, as Burnt Toast says. By the way, Toast is live here coming up shortly, so we will be done by then so we can go watch her, because I'm interested, because Toast does exceptional breakdowns of this mouthy bitch.
But thank you for the disclaimer, just in case I probably should have said that anyways, so thank you.
Are just some of the 24 others wounded or hurt during this gunfire, many of them children.
We have had 12 patients that we have treated, 11 of which are children.
Now let's talk about, we're on this mental health. We're on this mental health discussion this morning because.
Oh yeah, she's been on a mental health discussion, just passing off misinformation about our things. Betty, I got a question for you. I'm going to play this off my phone for you. This comes from watching the rally that she was out this weekend. And Betty, I got a question for you. I hope you get this memo. I want to know if you got your Trump bobblehead doll for Valentine's Day.
President Trump pulling in a 99% win in the Nevada caucus just 2 nights ago. All right, panning the crowd, showing the crowds here.
It gets good.
I want to remind you that Valentine's Day is coming up. Get yourself a Trumpinator bobblehead. We've talked about that a little bit today. A Trumpinator bobblehead. Let me tell you, I love flowers and I love chocolate and I love dinner at a nice restaurant. But you would win me over with a Trumpinator bobblehead. I'll tell you what. So go ahead and get yours today.
Betty, were you won over with a Trumpinator bobblehead?
That information should be on your screen right now. Trumpinator bobblehead.
Oh, I can't wait till Betty starts doing ads like that. Does it vibrate, right? Oh my God. All I thought of was her when I heard that. I said to Kyle, I said, I bet Betty has that on her wish list for Valentine's Day. Oh my God. Who would have ever thought? And you can get your free kids book too. Learn all about Trump, every bit of about Trump. It's free. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling, which is $2. And you can teach your kids about Trump and all of the things they don't want to tell you. Hey, Electro, thank you so much. I had to play that though. Okay. Oh, no. Mystery. This is a spoof. America needs dicks and butts. This is actually a local guy to us. He, during the political campaign, the last time he got really sick of everybody, it says not running for anything, just wanted to make a sign. He's funny as hell. Kyle and I have met him. He's funny as hell. But that's what I'm rocking. Hey, Wood Drake. Yeah, you got what I'm saying. That's what that is.
Because I do talk about the mental health discussion every time we have one of these situations, which is becoming more and more common. But think about these children and what they're going to have to live through for the rest of their life now. They pretty much have been robbed of their childhood. Every time they hear a car backfire, every time they hear a firework, now they can't even go.
Oh, but don't you endorse Marjorie Taylor Greene, who followed a bunch of kids who were traumatized by a mass shooting and followed them around and called them crisis actors? Don't you support somebody named Marjorie Taylor Greene that did that to a bunch of kids that experienced extreme trauma? Isn't that part of your GOP candidacy group? Oh, it sure is. But you don't want to talk about that, do you?
And watch fireworks? These kids will forever be scarred with some of the...
Hold on. I'm giving you guys a Smush update. Kenzie just brought me Smush. There's Smush. For those of you guys that are wondering how she's doing, there she is. She's just a big old bag of bones. She just runs around and does whatever. She's been playing in the bathtub. Okay, back to this. Sorry. There's only so much of this bitch I can take, as you guys know. Okay, here we go.
Scars that most adults don't even have the ability to handle, let alone live through. Exactly. Why the children? It's sickening to me. It's sickening to me. And then to try to find out what the motivation is behind this, and we're going to find out what it is. And I can already tell.
AKA, the investigators are going to find out what happened. And then Betty is going to use her true crime sleuthing skills to misrepresent a news article that was already prepared for her. But she's going to have some great way of fucking it up and telling you something completely different than what reality is that happened. Don't worry, though. She'll figure it out.
Tell you it's not good. But you know what? I guarantee you this. It's preventable. And for this one, I don't even think, I have to look into it a little further, but I don't even think mental health is going to be a subject matter in this particular shooting. I think this is more in line with something to do with hate. I don't know why. We'll see. Maybe a combination.
Let's fast forward her.
But the kids,
but the kids.
Hanging
with
by the
9
toenails.
gunshot wounds. None of those patients, all of those patients we expect to have a full recovery.
At least 2 adults, though, remain in critical condition tonight. And while no motive for the shooting has been announced, it may be the result of a dispute between armed attendees in the huge crowd. Casey.
There are a couple of situations, and again, it comes back to my original conversation to bring a gun or not to bring a gun. Guys, listen, I don't know what
This bitch is still stuck on to bring a gun or not to bring a gun. Betty, clueless bitch over there. It already happened. Your hypothetical doesn't fucking work. Why don't we talk about how to prevent the next situation from happening instead of to bring a gun to not bring a gun? In my opinion, you shouldn't even be allowed to have them, but that's here nor there.
what state there might be a state. I'm not looking through the laws to find out the answer to this. There's my disclaimer state rocket tail for this one. I just didn't put it for the last one, okay? I'm getting better, though. I'm getting better.
Revival, that's a very valid point, too. And this is the same bitch who went to the school board and didn't want cameras to protect our children, but she's all about the children, right? Even though she don't have any of her own. And I'm not making cracks on that because, again, so many people deal with infertility and other issues. That's what it is. But this bitch who claims to advocate on behalf of our children doesn't have a clue what advocacy for kids is actually like. She has never stepped a foot in the role of taking care of a child with special needs, with mental health issues. She has no fucking clue. And it's offensive to hear her bullshit and claim that she's an advocate for children when she promotes people like Tim Ballard, Matt Gaetz. Should I go on and on about all the GOPs that have been accused of S crimes? Should we talk about that? Who she endorses? She wants to talk all this bullshit, but she don't want to talk about the actual issues at hand here. She claims to climb on the soapbox with her non-existent children, but speak for the children and us parents. Bitch, you don't speak for me and never will. And thank God people like you don't really have a say in my children's lives, because that's what I do. That's a parent's job. Stop putting it off on educators too, because it's kind of looking bad for you.
But the bottom line is I don't know what states you're really allowed to have a concealed weapon while consuming alcohol. I think, like here in Florida, you can bring a gun into a bar as long as you're not drinking. But the minute you start drinking alcohol, you just committed a crime.
A lot of states, you can't even take them into a bar.
Here in the state of Florida. I will never, if I'm ever drinking one sip of alcohol, I very rarely drink, like very rarely drink. If I say I have a beverage, an alcoholic beverage, maybe once or twice a year, I truly have an alcoholic beverage, maybe once or twice a year. I really don't drink that much. And I got to tell you, if I had my gun on me, it would be secure if I chose to consume alcohol. I don't play with my safety, but I also don't go out of my way to break a law, right? And I know for a fact, even if it was one drink and I know that it would not impair my ability if need be, it doesn't matter. Our law is clear here.
Don't worry, she's going to get into her religious tirade here soon.
So I'm not going to be carrying any type of firearm if I consume one drop of alcohol.
I thought she.
But again, if you're going to a place, now I'm not going to tell anybody not to.
I thought she claims to not drink.
Protect themselves, because I am a Second Amendment person all day long. I believe you should be able to protect yourself. You cannot rely on law enforcement. We love law enforcement. We're very gracious and thankful to law enforcement. But let's face it, with an average time of a 7-minute call time and knowing that your life can literally be over in a split second, I'm not going to gamble with my life waiting on cops. Free Clever. Free Clever! Free Clever.
Oh, God, her and that.
So I'm not going, and especially going to these large events, you kind of like, you can't blame anybody that would want to bring a firearm to an event. Like, look what just happened. Look what just happened. So anyways, many of you guys.
Which one? There's been 49 mass shooting incidents since the start of the new year in 2024. Which one are you talking about?
Don't know. I'm going to tell you a secret. This is a pretty big secret because I've been.
Oh, wait. They want to continue to talk about the invasion at the border that's non-existent and keep calling it an invasion, which is not what it is. And then they want to talk about the cartel invading the United States and all these terrorist organizations, but they don't want to talk about the United States being the ones, the gun manufacturers being the ones that give the guns to the cartel. United States is the biggest supplier of guns to the cartel. That's factual.
Keeping it to myself. Sorry, lightsaber. I've been keeping it to myself for a little bit.
Mary, good point.
So many of you don't know because it's been under wraps. I haven't even told my mods. So my mods are just now learning about it along with my entire audience. I'm leaving. And you're going to want to sub up to literally every single channel I own, from TikTok to Facebook to Twitter to here, because you're going to want to make sure that it's no longer Where's Waldo. If you watch me on TikTok and you were on my live yesterday, you will know we are now playing Where's Betty, right? I even have my little pointy hat, right? Instead of the round hat with the stripes in it, I'm gonna have my little.
Trust me, ain't nobody really wants to find you. I think most of us wish you would fall off the earth. I mean, I didn't say that. I'm not violent at all. Of course, that's not violent. That's just like, get to the flat edge side of the earth and just keep going. I mean, hey, if people listen to Betty, then the earth has to be flat. If Betty's factual, the earth is flat, and sooner or later she's going to find the end of it and just fall off. Hey, there's that.
My little pink one, my little cone hat with a ball on it. We're going to put together a book. But seriously, you're going to want to be here. You're going to want to be here.
Oh,
if you don't know, I'm not going to be streaming from the studio tomorrow. Not going to do it. And you're going to want to be around when we stream. Now, when am I going to stream? I don't know. So what does that tell you? For all the people that have been Olstein is a joke, I pity his soul. We can talk about that Susie Sue all day long.
Here we go.
There's something about that man I've never liked. That's why I don't tune into his show.
First thing I probably ever agreed with Betty on is Joel Osteen is a creep. But at the same point, unfortunately, it's another tragedy that, in my opinion, should have been prevented because she had blaring mental health issues for quite some time. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And
me personally think it's ungodly for a man of the cloth to acquire that much wealth. If you have the ability to acquire that much wealth, you should have been distributing it appropriately. I mean,
that's why we have mega churches. But just wait till she spins this. This is funny. This is fucking funny.
That's the purpose of it, right? We give to the church, and the church takes care of the other people. That's why we give to the church. In this situation,
find me a few churches. There's a few churches that do take care of their congregations and do great things for their communities, but that's very few and far between. Mega churches are wealthy because of people like Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, Tammy Faye Baker, those people. They're trage evangelists, in my opinion, aka televangelists that use people's tragedies to exploit people for money. That's what they are. That's how they get wealthy. And she is not very far off from being the same.
He took care of himself. And to me,
I
have no respect for that. I knew that from a long time ago. Even when his dad died.
Thanks, John Wick.
I was not a fan of his father either. I was not a fan of his father. And even further fan of him, because we, especially in the church, one of the things that I learned is people believe they don't desecrate their bodies. They believe that God doesn't make mistakes. And now they do believe, in different types of religion, they do believe that, medicine was created to help us. In some religions, they believe that we need to live life pure.
Again, yes, that is factually correct. Some religions do not believe in modern day medicine, like followers of Christ, so on and so forth. Other religions, such as LDS, believe in medical care as long as it's a prescription, yada, yada. The list, we could go on and on and on. Land the fucking plane, Betty.
And no doctors.
By the way, if you notice anything about Charlie Kirk, her little superhero buddy over here, it looks like, because she's hitting all the talking points, he has now put in a religious aspect to his political leanings. Very big. It goes on to detail that further in that article. But the same thing. The religion conversations continue to be mixed into this. And that is, in my opinion, why people like Betty are using that.
No, nothing. I'm not going to get into that. But with Osteen, you can tell he's had massive plastic surgery. He drives around in a ridiculously flashy car. These are not things that I contribute to a religious person. Okay. Now, do I mean that religious people shouldn't make money? Of course not. I'm not a pocket watcher like that at all. I never have been. My thing is, if you can drive around in that kind of car and live in that kind of house, you should.
Hold on, you guys. I got to show you guys something really quick. Sorry.
She didn't tell me that.
This is the most exciting thing ever. My in-laws got a cat. That's Lizzie.
Let's see.
Kyle just got home. He didn't even know.
Aw.
Mama sent it to me before she sent it to him.
Cool.
That's Lizzie. My in-laws just got a new baby today. They've been looking since Louis passed. And okay, anyways, back to the important stuff here. Sorry. I know. I'm so happy for them. I cannot wait. I'm gonna have to go meet her.
Should be doing a hell of a lot more for your community. There literally should be no homelessness in the area that Olstein lives. None. Zero. With the kind of money he has, he could have built apartments. He could have been doing something for his community. Now, I didn't look into.
That's common sense, though, Betty, and that doesn't help trash evangelists like you.
He may very well be. But there's a reason why I've had this gut in this pit of my stomach for many decades when it comes to him and his family. I've never watched their stuff on TV. I never liked it. I've always thought it was fake. I've always thought his religious stuff was fake. To be honest with you, he looks like a closet drug addict to me. I don't know.
She just called Joel Osteen a closet drug addict. I mean, I don't like the guy either, but I always say, like, whatever your beliefs are your beliefs. The high demand religions, the uniformed belief systems are pretty toxic. But I find it so funny how God bless you all the time. And then here she's cutting down a world famous pastor.
Why I get the vibe?
Whatever.
But it is what it is. So now, am I judgmental? Does it mean any of my judgments are true, accurate, or correct? Absolutely not. I'm just a judgmental person. Oh, let's talk about Olstein. I could go on for days. Not an Olstein fan. But you know what I am a fan of? I am a fan of God, and I am a fan of our people here on the Bullhorn Betty True Crime Stories, attending the church, Countryside Christian Church with the Coffee Club every Sunday at 9:05 in the morning. Now, just like Elfig, not to throw you under the bus, Elfig. Elfig was a little late to the party last week, okay? But we love Elfig. So Elfig went to the 11 a.m. So if you're a little late and you're not like this bubbly person like I am when you wake up at 3 a.m.
Bitch, the only thing that's bubbling on you is your fucking skin. Oh, did I just say that out loud? But carry on.
Maybe you were watching Dolly. Maybe you stayed up late watching Dolly and you just
Is she still giddy over him? That's weird.
can't make the 9 o'clock. There's always an 11 o'clock service there for you that do have some coffee club members in there if you'd like to go there, but just get the word. We need more God back into this country.
We need more God back into this country. How are your thoughts and fucking prayers helping mass shootings, Betty? How have they protected the almost 5,000 that have been killed by guns this year? How is it helping the 66 on average that take their lives from suicide by gun a day in 2024? How are your thoughts and fucking prayers and God coming back into our country? God was never lost. Everybody has a personal relationship with who they believe in. Well, let me guess. You would vote for Senate Bill 763 in Texas? Probably.
Had more God back into this country. Sorry, guys. I just don't believe this kind of stuff would exist right now. We would have a lot less of it. We need to bring love back.
Actually, that's the funniest thing to me, and I'm not going to go off on that tangent today, but the way they make God out to be, they make God out to be like this person that sits on a pedestal and judged everybody. No, he was a normal human being. Anyways, I'll save you guys the preacher side of me today. But they try to act like they can judge everybody. This whole Christian facade of holier than thou, you're a problem. Teachers are doing this to kids. But she doesn't talk about the parents. She doesn't talk about what the kids are learning at home. She doesn't talk about, it's all these fucking talking points mixed into the same rhetoric nonstop. It's just too much.
We need to bring our love for humanity back. Humanity.
In my personal opinion, if God saw Trump, well, he invented spray tanner for Trump. So I can't say that he doesn't love Trump because he invented spray tan for him. So, hey, there's that.
It is the most precious.
Money. I mean, if you can think that should be a presidential candidate, more power to you.
Of the
Believe in whatever you want, but just know what you believe in it.
Precious, not cash, not financial wealth.
Stop.
We are priceless.
Oh,
Why aren't we acting like that? Don't hold your breath, Sonia. Seems like he might be a tightwad. Seems like it. I should stop.
He's mayor saying what
but everybody should be allowed to believe what they believe, right? Mm.
many Americans are feeling tonight.
Parades, rallies, schools, movies.
We're gonna fast
seems like
her a little bit because she just goes on and on
Again, suspect says,
and on and on.
all than what they're.
We're just gonna go right up here to that. Some further bullshit that she starts to spew. Let's start about here.
That it's become a freaking illness. It is infecting people.
Oh, wait.
Is that window and that metal give you a hell of a lot more protection than laying on a ground. I don't know how they teach people in training, but we're taught to try to find safety. Something hard. It sickens me that I have to even have this conversation with my audience on, hey, if you're in an active shooting situation, what should you do? This is freaking America. We should not even be having this conversation. You know what the problem is? Is people have been allowed to be nasty and mean entirely too long. That it's become a freaking illness. It is.
Really? Really now? Okay.
Infecting people. Hate is infecting people. Is all.
Guess what, bitch? Hate is taught. It's not born into a person. And the company you keep, the party you rep, the agendas that you push breed hate into people, into the minds of children. When you were out there with all those minor children at your Trump rally the other day, pushing straight propaganda onto kids, saying that 5-year-olds are being taught how to give blowjobs, all that fucking bullshit. What are you trying to do? Get people to hate teachers because it's not happening?
Everything that we've been doing to try to stop hate, try to unify, try to all of the people just get infected with this hate and they just.
What have you fucking done to unify anything? Besides blame everybody else. Besides put blame everywhere. Instead of wanting to find unity, you are so divisive in your movements, it's not even funny. I don't know how you guys listen to her every day. There's no way.
Stop. They just don't stop. I was taught never to have a way. I was taught to never have a way out. Never. What do you mean never have a way out? You want to try to get out as much as possible. I mean, you need to try to find yourself the safety. You need to put yourself and get yourself help. Nobody else is going to do. I'm sorry if
Beer Can, thanks for joining. Welcome to the cabana.
Things are going south for me. I'm looking at everything. Crawling on your belly, you don't want to be standing up. I can tell you that. Because gunfire they usually have it at least, chest level, depending on where it is. Most of the time, it's higher.
Thank God she's not a fucking expert
than that. So, but if you have something like this, you're going to have it at least breast level. So you're going to.
Who the fuck shoots like this? Oh, Lord bless it.
You don't want to be below the breast level anywhere that you go.
I give up.
But that's all I got for that. We obviously know our country's changing quite a bit. I think we need to, parents, whether you agree with guns or not, I think it's, might be an opportunity to have a discussion with your child about how they feel, what they know. Just have an open dialogue with them. Make sure that they understand, that I don't even know how to even approach this conversation. I don't know how you parents do it.
Well, it's about time you admit that. You have no idea that the fear that this continues to happen puts in parents. You have no idea the need for conversations of parents to check in with their children, see how their mental health is, acknowledge if they're having mental health issues, get them help. That's on parents along with educators. It goes as a team. You have to have the conversations, no matter if you want to or not, because right now there's no fucking common sense left, it seems. And the people that need to be having the discussion about mental illness and getting enough people, getting protection for clinicians, opening up and letting more counselors work, therapists. We need so many. They are the least protected. They're understaffed.
I will be just honest with you.
Those cases are so hectic for clinicians, for counselors, for therapists, anybody that works in the field. The high burnout rate is very real because it's a lot of trauma. They are dealing with trauma and trauma and trauma. And you can be the strongest person ever, but after dealing with that all the time, people burn out. It's a lot. And they get no protections for so many mental health workers.
I just don't know how you guys do it this day and age. It really,
oh, thank you, Beer Can.
It saddens me.
Thank you, Beer Can, for the gift of memberships, y'all. Welcome to the cabana.
It saddens me. I worry about our young youth, but there's nothing more concerning than parents worrying about their child. And this is just showing you, no matter what we value and how much fun we want to have, somebody wants to take that away from us for no other good reason than just to take it away. To me, that is sick. That is twisted. It breeds hate. Stay away from hateful people. If you don't want to be infected with it, stay away from it. Maybe, if you...
Buddy, your MAGA is showing majorly.
You think your children, what's acceptable for our children to be online? Because I got to think that some of this has to do with them just immersing themselves with online material. You can bring...
But you want to blame the teachers. You just blamed the teachers earlier. And now you're like, oh, well, common sense might lead me to believe that she speaks out of both sides of her fucking ass.
Brainwash yourself, right? You can brainwash yourself unintentionally just by doing nothing but watching and seeing. And whenever
we've watched it happen with you. You've definitely brainwashed yourself.
You're playing video games. Now, granted, I don't know if the video games are doing it. And I remember when they were trying to challenge video games during my era, I'm like, I can't believe they're doing this, and I remember Mario Brothers and Mario Karts and all that other stuff, docile games, but that's not the kind of games you get now. In this day and age, you get points for running over grandma, robbing grandma, murdering people. You get points.
That's called Grand Theft Auto.
Normal people probably don't take it an extra step further. But see, the problem with our young children is many of us don't know if our child's mentally ill because they don't start showing the effects of the mental illness until they start becoming teenagers.
Oh, really, old Lifeline? Is that the case? Is that the case?
In many cases.
Oh. There
are some, like, autism and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about behavioral.
Because you really are a professional and know what the fuck you're talking about, right?
Type of stuff. You really don't start seeing it or developing. My understanding is in your adolescence to early 20s is when it starts developing, especially.
No, dumbass. Most of them cannot be clinically diagnosed because there's so many diagnoses that fit into the same category. So usually they wait for a full diagnosis until later because it's easier to piece things out and determine what's what. But it's noticeable, usually really young. It's just some diagnoses cannot be given until they're a little bit older. Hormone changes, things like that. Mental illness can present itself at any time. Most of you are aware of that. She obviously lives with her head up her ass.
Especially like, say, schizophrenia and stuff like that.
Oh, shop.
And now this child's already has all these seeds planted in it.
It pisses me off so bad for my teacher friends to watch how she smears teachers and do this shit and how many times we have to see this ignorance happening in the propaganda that is being pushed. There are so many people out here that fight every day that do so much more for their communities, for their children, for other people's children, because that's their life's work. Like Shop is an incredible human being. Anybody that had a kid around her should be honored because they dedicate their lives. There's so many educators in here. I find this to be so offensive of the ignorance that she spews, and it's wasteful propaganda. That's all it is. It's this rhetoric, it's the talking points, it's the extremist views. It's all wrapped up. It's all the same shit. Meanwhile, they're trying to take women's rights away. They're trying to eradicate LGBTQ. They're trying to enforce religion in the schools on your children. Like, there's so much bullshit happening here. And she supports people who use their positions of power and wealth to exploit people of other dynamic social economic status, I should say. It's ridiculous and it's disgusting. She acts like this humanitarian that she wants to save the world and fix the issues, but she can't even fucking talk about the real issues or be mindful of what is really happening.
Planted in him or her. And then they start developing these symptoms and signs of mental illness. So we have to, we just don't know. I don't know if any of this is, I just think it's a multitude of things. I don't think it's any one thing for any specific person. If it was, I think we could extinguish the core issue that's causing this, which we can't because we don't know. And
extinguish, kind of like eradicate. Is that your fix? You want to go back to the 1940s when they were giving people lobotomies? You want to do that? Is that what you think is an answer?
And it's ever changing because it's different from person to person. Just to switch gears just a little bit for Michael Monkey Vaughn, I just want to let you know that so far we still haven't heard of any arrests in his.
And she just switches right into true crime. Again, I'm not skipping over this for any reason, but I find it to be so absolutely incredibly disconnected to the reality of what she just spewed. Then she rolls into this missing persons case. I find it to be so disgusting. By the way, if you haven't seen the Willowbrook documentary of how mental illness was treated and all of that, I encourage you to go watch it. It's called Willowbrook. Geraldo Rivera actually was one of the first to wear a camera into that. Okay, we're going to fast forward a little bit more because she says a few more things, and then we are going to be out of here. Hold on. Let me find my second timestamp that I wanted to play. I'm sure I missed a lot of bullshit in here, but there's only so much of this bitch I could actually stomach. And I think you guys are getting the issues. I encourage you to go look into Charlie Kirk. Look into what shit he says. Then listen to Betty. Go look into Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Her buddy. See what kind of propaganda they're actually spreading. Of course, she's going to exploit Summer some. Oh, this is why I wanted to play this. Summer is still missing, just so you know. But all of the crap that she says, and then listen to the audacity she has. Let me make sure this is the right timestamp. Okay.
She walked me through what they did that day and said she and Summer were repotting cactus plants outside of her camper. And then
Summer come in and had a piece of peppermint, which is her favorite. And then she went in. She said, Mama, I want to go play with the boys. Candy walked her back to the house. And she asked the boys to keep an eye on her. And that's the last time I seen her.
As the
but we want to know about the Burger King. The Burger King that you guys have never spoke about for 3 effing years, close to 3 effing years. When did you guys go to Burger King, Grandis? Because you sure didn't tell us about that back then, and now, well, we just want to know who ate what. Because before, you guys couldn't even figure out what kind of Slurpees you guys got from the Sonic. So I'm just curious, asking for a few million friends.
9-month mark of when her granddaughter was reported missing approaches, she says the social media and online rumors have to stop.
If they want to help, that's great.
We were there to help, lady. We asked your whole family to come out and help search. You guys you gave us the runaround and refused to help, and then try to have us arrested. Don't give me this shit. It's been almost 3 years, Grandis. How many times have you gotten off that fat ass of yours and went out there looking for your granddaughter?
This is the advocate known as Blowhorn Betty. This is your advocate, your child's advocate, who is talking about true crime, talking about children, talking about a still missing child and her grandmother. This is who claims to be an advocate. Talking about how many times did you get off your fat ass to the grandmother. This is who some of you support. And you're okay with that because you have determined, social media has determined that they're guilty. Meanwhile, she got the guy fired from his job. They harassed the family. They have no evidence if they're guilty or not. They don't know. They're not detectives. She doesn't have the credentials to be a fucking thing in law enforcement. Not a goddamn thing. She might be able to polish somebody's shoes. She might be able to be a housekeeper. I don't even know if she would pass the background check to be able to be in an office cleaning afterwards. Don't forget who this actually is. And this is how she talks to the loved ones of missing children. You can have your thoughts and feelings on Dawn and Candace. But it's another thing when you spew it out publicly. When you are no different than the rest of us. You're not seasoned investigators. There's no proof to show anything. But that's what these fools do.
Curious. Because you don't even call law enforcement to check on her or your daughter, quite frankly. And I find that a little offensive and bizarre. If you ask.
How the fuck would you know? You're not entitled to that. You don't have an into law enforcement to know if they call and check on shit. Shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down, Betty. God, I sound like fucking Laura today, and that's the last goddamn person I ever want to sound like. But you really do need to sit the fuck down and remember your lane. You can't even pick a lane to be in.
Ask me. But who do I know? I'm just a crazy chick with a bullhorn.
No shit.
But if they want to spread
A bullhorn would, never mind.
lies, that's a different story.
No, we ain't spreading lies, baby.
Because that's all they're doing now is spreading lies. They're reaching and trying to figure out what lie can we spread now.
Oh, here, let me tell you, Grandis, what lie I can spread now. There were 3 adults with Summer Wells. Summer Wells disappeared. There were no other adults on that man. So why don't you quit lying and tell us what the hell happened that day? Because of all these people you can convince, the one person you can't is Bullhorn Betty or crew, right? And we've given you every opportunity to change our mind.
We've given you. Like there's some vigilante justice group that's owed a fucking thing. And I see your fucking skank ass in there too. And I'm sorry. I will say what I have to say about that old fucking bitch because she is no better than this twit. She and Spanky over there have exploited Summer Wells to the end of the world. And she sits in there and helps push this fucking bullshit, just like Bullhorn Betty, just like Justin, all the others. She is in the worst of the worst and she has no problem pushing off misinformation. I can't stand that woman and there's reason for it. She's absolute trash, if you ask me. The way she treats other people and thinks that it's her right to dig into people's backgrounds. Meanwhile, they fucking exploit every fucking tragedy, especially if it involves a child.
Mind. We even gave, I just spoke to Dawn, right? I've spoken to Dawn in the last 45 days.
And if that offends you, guess what? My give a fuck's broken today and usually is.
He can't answer these weird issues I have.
Nobody can answer for the weird issues you have. That's not our problem. Go see a fucking physician.
I even told him we're in a pickle here, Dawn.
We're in a pickle here, Dawn.
How does everything keep coming back here? And he tried to lie to me about his sons being at work with him that day. I said, Dawn, I said, of all people, you know damn well I've already corroborated those boys were at work that day.
Oh my God, I can't with her. I can't listen to any more of this shit. This is going to have me seeing red more than I already am. She goes on to exploit more Summer Wells lies, because everybody else has been milking the Summer Wells case. So she has to get back in it. Plus she went and got some more footage the other day while she was out there.
We are in front of 110 Ben Hill Road.
The sad thing is all these people have made so much money off of Summer Wells' name, and some are still missing and has been the one that's forgotten in her story.
It's nice to meet you. Can you tell me anything about the Wells? Not really. I mean,
How long have you lived here?
lived here. I moved here in September of 2020.
Oh, so you're recent.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but we were here last year.
It's a shame.
I want you to think about for a moment before we end this. I want you to think about the fact that good night, that this happens to so many families. She's out here investigating. I want you to think about if one of your loved ones went missing tomorrow, today. What would you do if these people got involved? I'd be in jail for murder, straight up, 100%. How would you handle people like this being in there? Thanks again, beer can. How would you handle these people turning everything in your life upside down and making the smallest thing into something huge and painting it to the entire universe that this is what goes on, this is what goes on? I could not. I'm telling you right now, there is no way I would be able to handle this bullshit. No way. And they wonder why they drink or they use substances. Again, not saying that they didn't before. I'm just saying so many families are trying to numb the pain that they're actually feeling as is. Some families milk it. Be still, same. Chaos. I don't even think a PPO helps many of the families, to be honest. I think I'd be in prison, honestly. I genuinely don't think I could handle it because the way they exploit these tragedies is unreal.
But I didn't know the people.
There's a lot of, I'm noticing.
And they put their nose in like
hollering for Summer. But one thing he didn't know, he said, if I'm on the other side of the mountain and I heard her screaming for Summer, he says that he never heard Summer call back. Summer was already gone. That was the witness there that gave me that tidbit of information. He's also the barefoot guy. He's the one that did all the searches barefoot. He's got Fred Flintstone feet. They're pretty rough. He showed them to me. And he also is the one that told me about the thorned.
And we're just supposed to believe this bullshit. We're just supposed to believe everything she says, right? Okay. Anyways, that's enough of that bullshit. I've had enough of her for a whole week. They absolutely hurt the investigations. They absolutely, hey, Smiles. This is just, yeah, Autumn, content for a reason. These people have just lost their ever-loving mind. But I want to continue pointing out the reason why she's using true crime stories, because she's pushing propaganda, rhetoric from extremist views. This isn't just mixing it in here and there. She flat out said with her whole chest, she is a political activist who got into the true crime community. It's election year. Sorry, we're going to see a lot of this. And you're going to hear me call a lot of it out because it's disgusting. Meanwhile, there's been 49 mass shootings since the beginning of 2024. 66. I'm going to continue to say this because people need to realize the reality of this. 66 people on average take their lives by gun every day. They want to continue to point blame at everybody, and they don't want to have the conversations that need to be had. They continue to play all these little semantic games all over the place and not talk about the problems. Her conundrum in that whole thing was whether to bring a gun or to not. What? She could only, and I hate to say this, but in my opinion, Betty would give mass casualty events so she could report on it and give a firsthand interview. She would milk the ever-loving shit out of that, in my opinion, if she ended up alive afterwards. I think she would milk the ever-loving shit out of it and everybody's tragedy. It's disgusting. She's disgusting. She's got no shame. And it's all for political agenda. I'm sure she'll be headed to CPAC next week to see her buddy Tim Ballard and Matt Gaetz. If you don't know Tim Ballard, by the way, just to remind you all, Tim Ballard, who is speaking at CPAC, has current ongoing criminal investigation for sexual assault allegations. He's in 4 civil suits. There's also an bipartisan ethics committee meeting about Matt Gaetz. There's a whole lot more going on with these people. And I think it's time for people to stop having the blinders on and realizing that the extremist views that this group is pushing is very problematic. We got to start having the conversation. Stop pointing the fingers at teachers who I'm absolutely horrified to see her spreading this bullshit. Teachers don't deserve to be targeted in this manner. Teachers aren't doing that. That's a pedophile. If somebody is doing that to your children, that is a pedophile. That is a predator. That is not a teacher. And teachers do not stand for that shit. Period, point blank, end of story. For all those of you that have left or have ended up losing somebody to gun violence, to suicide, my heart goes out to all of you. I'm not going to give you thoughts and prayers because obviously it doesn't fucking fix the problems. We've seen that for how many years now? Anyways, with that, oh, Catherine, absolutely. And they're both doing the fear-mongering shit completely. And it is what it is. Like, I'm so sick of this bullshit. It's not even funny. And the more, if you talk on it, you're fucking woke. You're woke. I'll be woke any day over looking like a fucking Betty. Okay. That's where that stands. I'd rather be woke. Be nice, Becky. than a fucking ignorant fool like she is. I'm going to let you guys get out of here. Go get your snacks and your drinks and stuff before Burnt Toast is on tonight. I don't even know for sure what I'm sure she's doing a Betty thing. Burnt Toast always goes way more in depth about everything is. I know, Nisi, I'm like, I don't even care what you guys call me anymore. It's the best thing. There is one thing. Oh, I won't mix that in. I'll talk about that another day. I am going to probably be back tomorrow though. And we are going to deep dive into the alignments of Scientology and LDS and the human trafficking BS. Rabbit did a stream a couple weeks ago and kind of tied a piece together, but I'm going to deep dive you guys into how confusing that actually is and how interesting that is. The whole Tim Ballard shit. As you guys know, that's kind of one of my lovely things I like to talk about. But, oh, and he's got a conference hearing coming up on February 20th, 21st, 20th. The day before CPAC begins. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. For those of you that I'll see at Burnt Toast, I'll see you guys there, probably in the bushes. Oh, Lisa, I would love to see that. Kyle and I are going to take you guys on a tour of the Phoenix location here in his house that's on the historic register too. It was good to see all you guys. I hope you guys are all staying safe out there and having a great week. Nisi, of course. Perry and DC. Hey, y'all, Nana's not drunk. Sorry I missed so many of you guys coming in. Hey, Autumn. Smiles, have a good night at work. Shop. Just know that you're loved and appreciated, and we need more people like you. Bye, Laura A. It's good to see you. Good night, y'all. Actually, let me play you guys out because I owe you guys a song. And to those that joined the membership, once again, thank you so much. For those that were gifted memberships, welcome to the shit show. I'm off my thing. I did do a members only stream yesterday for those of you guys that want to watch it, but I will find the play out song and then we will be out of here. I miss this. I miss my Mrs. Doubtfire stuff. All right, I'm out. Have a good night, y'all.
How do I say goodbye? Glad you came. Closing time. Hit the road, Jack. You don't have to go home, but make the best of this test and don't ask why. But you can't stay